Right, I'll level with you. It's nothing exotic today. We're not up the Stelvio Pass in an Aston Martin. We're in Bedford with a Vauxhall, and it's raining. But just lend me your ears for a minute, because these guys have been quietly impressing for quite some time now. Most popular Super Mini in the UK, that's a Vauxhall. Most popular electric Super Mini in the UK, also a Vauxhall. Most popular compact crossover electric SUV thing, Lamborghini. No, not really, it's a Vauxhall. See, while so many other brands that we have historically relied on for small, cheap cars appear to have turned their interest towards bigger, more expensive stuff with fatter profit margin, Vauxhall have stayed true to what they've always been about: sensible, affordable family cars. And today, we get to look at a brand new one. Welcome to the Frontera.
Like Fully Charged? You'll love our fun-packed everything electric expos around the world. Come join us in Harrogate, Farnborough, and Vancouver. Remember, energy and transport professionals go for free.
So what we have here is Vauxhall's all-new C-segment SUV. It's a replacement for the Crossland, designed to be even more practical, even more spacious, and provide even better value. And we'll get into the nitty-gritty and the numbers in a moment, but let's just have a little walk around it first of all, because it's a brand new car. There's stuff to talk about. Quite smart looking, isn't it? We've become used to this Vauxhall design language since the new Mocha came along a few years ago, but it really is a big improvement to what we saw before. So much more interesting to look at. We've got this visor motif across the front that we've become used to across the Vauxhall range that houses these wing headlights that give the car a nice sense of width. It's got chunky SUV proportions. It's boxy and it's rugged, and it's got big flared wheel arches and a square chin, and it wants to project practicality and go anywhere-ness. I think it does that quite well. As you come around the side, you get a sense of that rugged SUV vibe they're going for again, with the high shoulders and the squared off edges and this crease and the roof rails across the top, which, by the way, you can get up to 200 kilos onto the roof. That's quite handy. And it's not massive. It's a C-segment SUV, so it will sit in between the dinky little Mocha and the bigger new Grandland in Vauxhall's SUV range. By the way, all of those cars have an electric version, as do both of their smaller cars, Astra and Corsa. The entire Vauxhall range of passenger cars have EV variants. They all have hybrid variants too, it's worth noting. This is Stellantis' strategy. This is their plan for making affordable EVs. Affordably is by doing them via multi-energy platforms. And we know the pros and cons of that. We've talked about this a lot. If it's not a bespoke EV, you're not going to get all the extra legroom. You're going to have a transmission tunnel. They're a little bit compromised, but if it's enabling these brands to give us small, cheap electric cars, I can live with it. And then as we come around the back, few things worth noting. No chrome anywhere on the car. That's a sustainability decision. There won't be any chrome on Vauxhalls anymore, so the badge is blacked out in this case. Quite smart twin tail light motif. This is a pre-prod car, so it's a model basically, so there are kind of bits hanging out, and it's actually making a strange noise, but the production car won't do that. But I can show you the boot, which is a very useful 460 litres. That's 50 more than the Crossland that it replaces, and it's almost 40 more than an Astra. So crossover SUVs, much less annoying when they actually give you added practicality, and this one does. That's a big, spacious, square boot. Small lip, but it looks like, oh, that actually, is that it? Oh. Oh. Hang on. Oh, I've just discovered something. You can have a completely flat boot, or you can drop this cover into the false floor and have just a really big boot. I like that. Oh, live discoveries. It's almost as if I'm just seeing this car for the first time and totally winging it. Numbers, do you want some? I've got some. First of all, horsepower, 113 horsepower, single motor, plenty. That's music to my ears. Everyone stop making family cars way too fast. It just drives the insurance prices up. 113 horsepower, single motor, adequate, sensible. Thank you, Vauxhall. Range is predicted to be in the vicinity of 250 miles. WLTP, charging speeds, not quite so impressive, 100 kilowatt max. That's one of the weak points for me, based on what I've seen here today. Pricing, We don't have an exact number, but Vauxhall says it's going to be highly competitive. To give you some sense, Kia Niro EV, for me one of the best C-segment electric SUVs, that's a £37,000 car. I get the impression that Vauxhall are looking to go a lot lower with this. I think potentially sub 30,000, which would be hugely impressive. It would make this the most affordable electric C-SUV. And I'd just like to touch quickly on pricing and range across other Vauxhall electric models, because for me, those were the initial weak points of the Mokka-e when it came out. It was a little bit too dear and it wasn't quite as rangy as perhaps you'd want it to be. This has improved over the course of the car's lifetime. So a Mokka-e now starts at 7 grand less than it did when it launched. Corsa-e, 5 grand less than the launch car. Meanwhile, they've improved in terms of their range. So a facelifted Mokka-e has 20% more range than the original car, despite only having an 8% larger battery. That means the rest of that is pure efficiency gains. We love to see this. They're getting smarter, rangier, and cheaper. Right, interior of the Vauxhall Frontera. Now keep in mind, Vauxhall very deliberately in the way they design their cabins don't want you to get in here and go, ah, it's a UFO. They want you to go, oh, it's a car. I know how this works. This is all familiar to me. As such, look, it's a bank of physical buttons. Look, it's a giant switch to adjust my fan speed. That's wonderful to see. I really think these should just be the norm. It's so often to see it replaced by a tappy touchscreen, and it's worse. It's more difficult to use on the move, it's distracting, it's fiddly. So thank you for keeping that. I would state at this moment that it's a pre-production car, so some of the things are a bit shonky. They'll be neater in the production car. These are good too. These two buttons down here might be the most beautiful thing I've ever seen, because they are hotkeys to turn off the lane assist and the speed limit detection thingy, the thingy that beeps at you if you go 31 in a 30. These are features that all new cars need if they want a 5-star Euro NCAP rating, but they're features that can be quite annoying and that you might want to turn off. And if you do, the buttons are right there. You don't need to go into a menu within a menu. Excellent. Elsewhere, it's quite interesting to look at. Look at these seats. These are called Intelli seats. And what's most interesting about them is there's 2 cushions, one for each of your cheeks. And this is designed to be very comfortable on long journeys, like a sport bike, it was explained to me. I don't often think of racy bicycles when I think of comfortable seats, but I can see the resemblance, and well, my cheeks are satisfied thus far. We've got a new steering wheel design which uses that compass motif that's central to Vauxhall's design language at the moment. These are no longer individual buttons, but they are clicky and they look like they've each been given sufficient room so that you're not going to press the wrong thing. That's good to see. We've got 2 10-inch screens here making up what Vauxhall calls the smart panel, and I like how it's slightly angled towards the driver. I don't want my passenger fiddling with anything ever, frankly, so this is good. It's sort of a subtle leave it alone signal to the person sitting next to you. This is quite fun. Wireless charging pad here, Android Auto, Apple CarPlay, la-di-da, all included. We've got 2 cup holders, and they've got these adjustable straps here, these kind of stretchy straps. Now, if you're someone who is serious about hydration, such as myself, you may well carry a comedically large water bottle with you day to day, which doesn't fit in most conventional cup holders. So this, as a hydrationsman myself, is welcome to see. And it's designed to be versatile. You could hang a bag from the side of it. Yeah, I like it. Creative. All very sustainable in here. Incidentally, PET material on the seats. Nice texture to it as well. Really nice looking materials used in the seats and used in the doors and across the dash here. Just a little bit of texture that makes something that otherwise would be a piece of plastic a bit more interesting. The infotainment is unfinished on this pre-production car, so I can't tell you too much about it at this moment in time, but hopefully it's straightforward to use. It looks like we've got big, chunky icons, which, given it's a relatively small screen, is a good thing. And this is interesting. It's got a key. We're not clear if that's a feature of this very, very early pre-production model or if they have gone full old school, but stay tuned. Right, backseat test. Now, this is not a bespoke EV. It doesn't sit on bespoke EV architecture, but it's a C-segment SUV. It has to be roomy back here. There are no excuses. And the good news is, It do be roomy back here. It is. That's quite impressive. Huge amounts of headroom. I forgot to mention, same in the front. Tons and tons. I couldn't touch the ceiling with my head if I tried. Useful amount of legroom. The good news is I can tuck my feet right underneath the driver's seat to get extra legroom. The less good news is the floor is quite high. There's so much headroom to play with. I'd almost be tempted if I were Vauxhall just to make the seats a bit higher in the name of not having your knees up around your ears. But it is spacious back here, and I am very tall. If I'm happy back here, basically anyone is going to be. It's pretty simple back here. Aside from that, we've got a couple of USB-C ports here. Oh, and then some more beeps. Other than that, not a huge amount to report back here. We've got We're having some technical difficulties with this very early pre-production car, which is that seemingly every time I open my mouth, it beeps. Well, just ignore it, okay? Other things of note back here, well, not an awful lot. We've got 2 USB-C ports for charging. There's 2 more in the front. We've got a useful pocket in the back of the seat. One for your phone, one for your crisps on a long car ride. That's really all you need in life, isn't it? And to be honest, that's about it, really. I appreciate it's not the most thrilling thing. It's a new Vauxhall crossover. It's not something you're going to have on your bedroom wall poster. But given the cost of living crisis, given the fact that everyone's a bit skint at the moment, given that electric cars are a bit expensive for a lot of people, a vehicle like this that's all about giving you the most practicality, the most space, and the best value for money, it's pretty compelling. You know, whenever we attend a launch for a new car, you do get this sense, based on looking around the car, based on the presentation that you're given beforehand, as to whether that's a brand that's really, really serious about electrification, doing it with gusto, or one that's kind of reluctantly, begrudgingly building electric cars. And Vauxhall sits comfortably in the former. This is a company who, by the end of the year, will have an electric version of every single passenger car they make. A company that makes 3 different electric vans and builds them at 2 different plants in the UK. A company that is looking to halve its carbon footprint by 2038 relative to what it was in 2021, and a company that's part of an automotive group that wants to be completely carbon neutral by 2038. These are serious, serious targets. But more importantly, the cars are just getting better. They're getting cheaper, they're getting cleverer, they're getting rangier. And if Vauxhall can hit the sort of numbers that we're hearing with this Frontera, if it can really do 4 or more miles to the kilowatt hour, do 250 odd miles on a charge, and come in at somewhere around 30 or maybe less £1,000, they've got a serious car on their hands. That makes this easily one of the most compelling and certainly the best value for money electric SUV of this size. So there we go, the new Vauxhall Frontera. It's not the most exotic, sexy thing you've ever seen, but cos he lives. Exotic and sexy is not the priority right now. Value, practicality, space. These are the things we need in our day-to-day lives, and that's what this car offers. So there you have it. Please make sure to like and subscribe, but if you have been, thanks for watching.